Yeah, welcome. Surprise, everybody. We're next to our new best friend, Greg here. And KRABBY's in the back. And we're going to go for a drive down some of the lovely California byways on this wonderful afternoon before these cars are available at your dealer. We're very excited.
I hope that traffic is kind to us. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, we can hope. It's California. All right, make sure we're in drive, right? Always helps. Oh my gosh, we've actually got some space.
Yeah,
makes a change.
Are we good? Good. Well, like I said, thank you very much for sparing the time for us.
Oh, thank you.
Obviously, well, it is California, so the weather is usually quite nice at this time of year, but I'm glad to be able to give you the opportunity to get on the road and behind the wheel, and particularly do an on-road drive, which obviously we're looking to extend to all of our pre-order holders through our dealers in the next few weeks.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Well, if it was last weekend, it would have been grey and not quite as nice as it is now. But this is beautiful. As you can see, we're on a little bit of a sinuous road now, and I am really impressed with the lack of body roll, I must say.
So, Greg, you came aboard Ineos in
December 2020.
Okay, so we're coming on December 23.
Yes.
So it's a 3-year journey, and
it's
the light at the end of the tunnel is now pretty bright.
It's all dog years in Ineos.
Well, yes.
So it's about 10 at the moment, I think.
So, let's see. Thursday, the dealers are expected to be announced.
Correct.
And let's just say we're 6 weeks out, maybe, from the first customer getting his or her vehicle.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Or if all goes well, yeah.
So how do you feel? Like, what?
Well,
like you've been working towards a goal.
It's a giant milestone, and it's a really, really important one because, as I told our dealers when we brought them all together 2 weeks ago in Utah, and at this point we've been very much focused on growing a team, and that's been the Ineos team, and now we've got a real team. We've got a very broad team of retailers. So on Thursday we'll announce the 19 US dealers. The 2 Canadian dealers that we'll launch with will be the subject of an announcement a month later. And there's a whole variety of reasons why the Canadians come a little bit later. A lot of stuff happens in sequence versus EPA certification, for example, and Transport Canada stuff and Environment Canada that we have to do. But all of the US and Canadian dealers were with us 2 weeks ago, and it has been a long journey, and it's been one of the most important journeys that we're going to have completed in terms of selecting our initial dealers, and we couldn't be happier. We're absolutely delighted with the passion and the enthusiasm. I know a number of them participate on the forum. They've had to sort of do that under the cover of darkness, but now they're just very much looking forward to start really intensively interacting with our pre-order holders.
Well, right, because the torch gets passed on Thursday.
In some ways, yeah. I mean, we're very much there. This is a team game, but yes, they become the multiplier. I mean, they can have hundreds and thousands of conversations, and our bandwidth is limited. And it is the way it should be. I mean, because we've spent a lot of time training, preparing, and selecting, firstly, the right dealers. But this is the long game, because this is a massively important market, a hugely important region for the company, and we wanted to take our time, select the right dealer partners, select the right geographic locations as well, to make sure that we had the right representation in the right places. And they are coming to the table with a lot of passion, enthusiasm, time, great people, and investment. And over the course of the next months, you'll start to see these dealerships take shape and really take form, because Thursday's not a ribbon cutting ceremony. This is not sort of cutting the ribbon and the grand opening of the stores. They're all at different stages of readiness, because the stores are going to be different in every one of the 19 or 21 places, and almost without exception, all of our dealerships in North America are larger than almost anywhere else in the world, because the market opportunity, as I said, is greater, the throughput is greater, but also the expectation of the customer in this particular market is probably greater.
It's
Yes, that's a
very
fair
finicky.
Yeah, and probably nowhere more so than here in California.
That would be me.
Yeah, well, there we go. So it's a good place to talk about it.
Yeah, we obviously, I grew up in America. Stu did not. So the interacting with car dealers seems extremely different here than across the pond.
Yeah.
And so, as someone who has worked on both sides of the pond, do you feel that as a customer, the North American system is more beneficial to the customer because of the sort of relationship that develops?
Well, it's a tough question to answer, Mike. I think the difference is, and it's difficult to do the comparison because it's not necessarily apples to apples. In many other markets across the world, it's the agency model, which is technically direct to customer,
right?
With the partner that sits in the middle, facilitating delivery, managing after sales care, that kind of stuff. Over here, for a variety of reasons, we've chosen the dealer franchise model. We've talked about some of them earlier on, but we're a small brand. We're a small, very focused, very specialized brand with quite a specialist customer, and the Grenadiers are quite an intentional purchase for this customer. And as a small brand, if you want really to get to market and to be able to work with people that are going to serve those customers really well, you're looking for great partners, great dealer partners who already have a footprint and reputation in those communities, that have the capital both in terms of people and facilities. And we find the ones that are just the most passionate about what it is that we're doing. And they're all, there's so many colours. I mean,
That was a lovely 90.
Yeah, the 90 was there when we went up.
Yeah,
was
the
it
rag
really?
top
I missed
as
that on
well.
the way up. It's just so distracting here, especially in California. But yeah, they are just absolutely impatient and chomping at the bit to get started.
I'm sure they are. We talk about it on the forum. Like, we know they're there, so I don't know any of the back end stuff.
Yeah.
But it'd be foolish to think they're not there. Whether it's, just one person who works there, that's the GM or the parts guy or whoever.
Yeah.
We sort of I hope that the Philadelphia region dealer that is physically closest to me, I hope they're on there.
Yeah.
And I hope they've been reading what the feedback customers are giving.
I can tell you they have.
Yeah.
Because
right?
we talked about you guys actually, your ears were probably burning 2 weeks ago, because when we were in Utah, we specifically talked about customer, community, passion, enthusiasm, the fact that there are Grenadier meetups of potential customers before they actually own Grenadiers.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. It's just the most amazing stuff that money can't buy. And I think we've done an okay job, and we've tried to work really hard at engagement and information. But honestly, the team has been small. Bandwidth has been super stretched. But we specifically used the forum as a good example of community, of the enthusiasm and passion. And these guys are there. They're if they're not lurking, they're participating. But also the power that the forum has in terms of that groundswell of connection, and the fact that, well, if somebody has a bad experience over here, that's not a secret.
No.
Word travels very, very quickly, and we see that happen on a number of different subjects and topics on the forum, and they are very respectful and conscious of that. So hopefully they will engage.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know, Stu, that's what you're hoping for as well, because, again, it's not a run-of-the-mill vehicle. It's not a Ford Focus. It's not a...
You don't buy this by mistake.
No.
Right.
It's a very purposeful, intent decision to buy.
Yeah. And hopefully a lot of that's going to be solidified by doing exactly what you're doing now, driving it on road.
Yeah.
And we've made a big deal from the very beginning. It's an off-road vehicle, and it was designed to be just uber capable. But as I've reminded the team since I began this job, mega amounts of highway miles done in this country, and lots and lots of distance traveled to get to places where you want to go off-road or camp or whatever that might be. So it has to be comfortable, and it's got to be refined. And actually driving it, using the test drive and the demo vehicles that we're going to give to our retailers in the next few weeks, hopefully is the last big piece in the puzzle for customers to say, yeah, okay, now I'm convinced this is the one for me.
I must admit, from my point of view, I've been driving this for about half an hour now, and it's as easy to drive as a Discovery 4. And I'm not just saying that. Yeah.
Wait, is that a good thing?
It's an easy car to drive. It's not hard.
No, I know from...
And I'm surprised. I thought it would be a lot more intensive on road. Intensive is the wrong phrase. More demanding of the driver, and it's not. It's actually very easy.
Well, we use the word rugged a lot, and we want it to be rugged in terms of durability. We don't want it to be rugged in terms of sort of the driving experience on road. It has to be polished and refined, and there's a certain expectation, certainly, of the price point, that it is refined, and the BMW powertrain helps hugely, but also some of the work that's been done on NVH, bushings, subframes, dampening, that kind of stuff. It's really, I think, has paid dividends. And we're in a TrialMaster now, with the KO2s. And even that sort of road noise that you get from driving some of the other competitive vehicles with a more aggressive tyre, you just don't get.
Yeah. And these are notoriously... Oh, look at that little girl.
Real Trek one.
Look at that.
It is.
I did a wannabe Trek one.
There you go.
They were limited too.
This is a social service, not just an entertainment piece.
Oh, hey, it's like car spotting,
Yeah.
right? It's like train spotting, but car spotting.
That's exactly true.
But that's the thing, like, if you... Again, my world is little, but, like, growing up, if you're a car person, even then as an adult, you're always paying attention, not just as the driver, a car's coming my way, but what kind of car is it?
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm always on the lookout. Like, we saw that Generation 1 Bronco that was hiding behind that fence before. Always on the lookout.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to wait too long where we are at the moment because, well, I mean, obviously the weather, the density of population.
Yeah.
This is going to be a giant market for us just because of the density of population. And there are folks that will buy a Grenadier that will probably never go off-road. But that's not going to change the trajectory of the product or of the way that we take it to market or of the type of dealers that we're looking for, because the DNA of the Grenadier is the DNA of the Grenadier. It is what it is, and it's not going to evolve and change a giant amount in the course of its life cycle.
That's good to hear, because people start with the best intentions and then they go soft.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to is how broadly do you need to cast the net? How much of a market do you need to generate? And for us, it really isn't. It's not that much. It's always going to be focused, specialist, niche, in many ways. So, and plus, you know, we have an owner and a founder that has been extremely involved and very, very clear about what the vehicle should be. And it does. It occupies a really nice space in the market underneath one of those. We just passed a new G-Wagon. But, you know, arguably sitting nicely above Bronco and Wrangler and 4Runner and the new Land Cruiser, which is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that's a polarizing one at the moment.
It is on the board. Obviously, you have the most inside view. Was that on the radar? That's the bad question. I'm just trying to figure, like, you guys did your own thing, and which is great, and that's why we have such a unique product that we're all going to get to buy and enjoy. But how much of what was out there already comes into the design process? Like, I don't mean, oh, they did this, so we're going to copy. I just mean in terms of sort of like the what do they call those? Inspiration walls, ideal walls.
Yeah.
Like mood wall.
Mood wall.
The mood wall.
You know, was the Land Cruiser, whatever they're calling it, I don't even know what it's called, 1958 or something.
The new one, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I don't think the new one was on the radar. I mean, certainly the old one. If you look at the other, I mean, you look at the FJ, and there are some other. You know, look at the 70 series that's not in this market but is elsewhere. All of these are inspirational in a way. They are sort of informing what it is that the Grenadier actually became, because all of them cater to a customer base that needs something that is very purposeful, that's very functional, and that comes in different flavors. And it just so happened that this was probably a quite an extreme interpretation. If you look at the construction of the vehicle, the substance of the frame, the axles, the suspension componentry, the capability of the vehicle off-road, the fact that the Austrian engineers at Magna Steyr say very, very nice things about this and say, you know, it can arguably go further than many G-classes on the shuttle.
Wow.
And so, you know, all of that is catering and tailored to a very specific, but actually arguably quite extreme use case. And there are many people that may never explore the capability of a Grenadier.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
Is that mistake? Is that the one we saw before?
Oh, no, that one was really clean.
It's
The other one
really,
was dirty.
it was a bit skanky, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
That's nice, pretty.
sorry to everybody watching. If this makes the cut, then we're getting punctuated by seeing lovely vehicles
It's
coming
the
the other way.
public service.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of respect for the other vehicles, but it's first and foremost is the respect for the use case. That there are folks that need and want to have something that very reliably takes them further and back again. And that's, you know...
It's the back again part that's the key.
Yeah, and that's what our owner wanted, and that's what our owner has done across Mongolia, in Namibia and Iceland, and so I think, you know, far more than I mean, he's certainly qualified and is very experienced to have a lot of personal input into the project, and the result is what we're sitting in now.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Does he have serial number 00001?
Oh, there are. I mean, various. Sir Jim's had vehicles for a long time, as you can imagine, through iterative stages of the development process. But yeah, I think he's probably the most excited about the pickup at the moment. About the Quartermaster.
That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, you know, I haven't spoken with him personally about it, but yeah, the feedback that we get is, you know, it's a different dynamic. The wheelbase is best part of 12 inches longer, so the ride characteristic is somewhat different. Loves the utility and the functionality of having the bed, but that's a story for next year for us. We're squarely focused on this.
We're looking forward to seeing it here as well.
And
It's going to be very cool to have something that, one more option, quite frankly.
Yeah, and the dealers have said exactly the same thing. You know, despite the sort of the uphill challenge of chicken tax and import duty.
Yeah, chicken tax.
I've been really quite surprised at the level of enthusiasm that our dealers have, and they're the best barometer for market opportunity in their respective markets. And I think really, without exception, all of them said, we want it.
Wow. Because we know for a fact that there's some foreign members, and they said they're buying one of these as a stopgap until the pickup turns up or arrives here. And that's,
which is brilliant.
That's a big statement. Buying a new car when they know that the next one is going to be here in 18 months or 2 years' time.
Yeah, but I think it's testament of the fact that people know that this is going to be limited volume, because we just can't build 50,000, 60,000 of them. We just don't have the capacity for that. And that's another reason that our network is relatively limited, because we're not going to spread ourselves too thinly, because that's not going to make for a happy dealer or a happy customer. But you know, ultimately, I think that shows that they have confidence that the retail or the residual values, the resale values are going to be strong. Yeah. And as long as we can do our job and quality is good and people enjoy it and they get behind the wheel and say, absolutely, this is brilliant, then hopefully we'll have achieved that. And somebody who gets into an SUV, a station wagon, and then into a Quartermaster is going to be able to do so without actually losing money.
Yeah, I've said from day one that the second-hand market for this is going to be red hot. They'll sell like hotcakes, you know, when they do come up.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that with other vehicles, but I mean, ultimately, you know, Sir Jim has said from the very beginning, all the money that's been spent on the retro Defenders now, the classic Defenders,
just insane.
All that stuff, that passion, that enthusiasm, you know, we would like to be in that position 30, 40 years down the line.
Yeah.
With a vehicle that was built so well, with a lot of positive influence from Mercedes and from the factory team at Hambach. very, very positive. We'd like to think that these vehicles are built to last the test of time.
Incidentally, you can go and visit the factory now. I'm sure you're aware of that, but they're formalizing things, so you can actually go and see the cars being built as and when. Hopefully, it'd be lovely if you could see your own being built, but that's...
Yeah, we haven't publicly broadcast it yet. We know there's a lot of enthusiasm for it. And the team have been great. You know, it's primarily led by our European regional team, who have a couple of guys there at the factory. And they've taken all comers. Dealers, people that have made a sort of an early pilgrimage back to Hambach. But that's something we'd like to be able to offer more broadly and more widely with a more structured program. At the moment, we have all waking hours in the day focused on launch and making sure that we get it just as right as we possibly can. And coming back to announcing dealers, you know, it's hugely important to have their help. And we'll establish ourselves over the course of the next months and years, and there'll be dealers all over the country. And we'll grow that number of 21 to a bigger number, but slowly.
Yeah, more than 21.
But slowly, yeah. And it is very much to do with demand, making sure that we have the recipe right, and making sure that when we do go into new markets, is with the right partners.
Going along those lines, I don't want to say getting it right, because that doesn't sound fair, but like, did other markets come before North America to make sure things were all in line before you got to North America?
Not principally, no. It was more to do with knowing the volume that North America represents.
Okay.
You really just had to start somewhere, and you start with the markets that are home market for us: UK, Europe, particularly UK, Germany, and you. I can keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we, you know, I think recognised and quite, respected the volume that could potentially be represented by this market, and also respected the fact that what we're doing is really, really hard. And we have a lot of people that have been with a lot of different other brands who have, I think, fully grasped exactly what we're trying to do. And I think the company and the owners have started to grasp the complexity of the market. And we just didn't want to completely overwhelm ourselves all at once, because this is hard enough without actually trying to digest and to adequately serve the volume that's represented by North America.
And you said earlier, I think before we had the cameras going, there were 7,000-ish reservations?
Yeah, pre-orders actually now.
Pre-orders,
so
right?
yeah, we've just over 7,200 now. All of which get shared with our dealers as of tomorrow, actually. So although the dealer announcement day doesn't occur until the 28th, we share all of the information tomorrow, really just to allow their teams to start to get prepared, establish calling orders, because we have said, look, hey, number one, of course, pre-order holders, but also the earliest pre-order holders, where we're going to produce the vehicles the earliest. Of course, they have to have priority. And so we gave them the time to be able to digest that stuff, and they'll start all of their outbound activities as of Thursday.
That's fantastic.
Really looking forward to that day.
Yeah, it's great, and it's so important for us and for the team, and my team have done what I think is just a great job. Really, not only finding the right partners, but taking them on this journey. Because while a lot of them had a lot of good background knowledge about Grenadier and were following themselves and were reservation holders and now pre-order holders themselves, there's been a lot of intensive training and systems set up. And there are going to be teething problems. We know there are, because any launch has that, and particularly a new launch with a new brand, with a new company and a new network.
Yeah.
So we have asked for patience from our dealers, and we'll ask for patience from our customers as well, as we work and continue to work 26 hours a day just to try and make sure this is as right as it can be.
I've said this many times before, you guys are the busiest people in North America right now.
I'm just trying to stay married to Stu.
There you go.
Oh, that's a separate conversation.
That's a separate conversation.
I know how you feel.
I think there's going to be people who come home with one of these who are going to have to hope to stay married. Like I was up front with my wife before I did anything. I was a little nervous to ask.
I've not owned up how much my spec costs,
Oh,
so
yeah.
she'll never see this, so I'm all right.
You know she's going to find out.
I know. I do know. Yeah.
You know, it's on a personal level. If I had gone to my wife and said I want to buy this car for this amount or this car for that amount, it never would happen. But when I showed her this, she said what I had hoped she would say. Yes, but in particular, she said, "You have always wanted a 21st century Defender. Here it is."
Yeah.
And now, it's not that flat forward or straightforward, but she saw that in it as soon as she saw it, and knows my passion, and says, "Well, it's the best of both worlds."
Yeah.
It's the 2023, 2024 version of something, and it's safe, and it handles, like it does all that stuff, like a new car should, with the soul of its forefathers, if you will.
Yeah, and there's obviously a lot of influence there, and there are a lot of customers that want something which is super capable, very rugged. But there are folks that don't need that, and the folks that gravitate towards other brands, and I'm probably talking about Land Rover in particular.
I didn't mention any names. I'm just saying.
As a prior employee of Jaguar Land Rover, I have a huge amount of respect for how difficult it has been to grow that brand and to diversify, and very intentionally gone into new markets that have generated new customers and new enthusiasm for Land Rover. And but in doing so, you can't be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And because no brand can, because it just stretches you to just breaking point. You'll never do anything well. And so that leaves space. It generates space. And we have a gigantic market here. You look at total industry volume, it's huge. Yeah. And so this isn't competitive, this is complementary to the marketplace. And hopefully it's complementary to people that really want something that is a little bit more rugged, that is as sort of off-road and utilitarian focused, but has the sort of refinement that hopefully you're feeling and experiencing on road for yourself now.
It's taking the potholes better than the Disco 4. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's it's not northeast potholes there.
No,
it's well, that's what I said to Stu. This is my first time I've ever been to California.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And
Wow.
we were sitting at a traffic light, and I said to him, "Are all the roads cement?" Because wherever we were,
Yeah.
and we were discussing because the earthquakes and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But cracks. You don't get frozen expansion potholes here.
Right.
Where it starts as a tiny crack, and then the next thing you know,
Oh yeah.
it snows, and then it melts, and then it freezes, and then it expands.
And you
the
fall
salt.
down the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, wheels go square very quickly. At least where I used to live in New Jersey, that's it's good business if you're a dealer, I suppose. There's lots of wheel and tire business.
Yeah. That's where low-profile tires don't make a lot of sense.
Oh, but people love them.
I know. And they look great on some things.
But this is, like I've said, probably a few times too many. We tried to get smaller wheels. We tried to get 16s.
16s,
Yeah.
right?
On this, they just wouldn't clear the brake package based on the mass of the vehicle and the
Yeah.
power and the braking capability needed. So, but hey, 17s, the steel 17s that we're riding on now, I think they soak up pretty much everything. Watch out.
Gosh. Oh my word.
Chap trying to get himself squashed.
Yeah, it's all right. We've got the video evidence.
That's true.
Right, but it'll be...
It's like
It's never their fault.
We'll sell it to the highest bidder.
Yeah, motorcycle culture here is a little different than other places, too.
I have the greatest amount of respect for these the bikers that go up and down the 405
wow.
and that weave in and out of the cars at 70, 80 miles an hour.
That's a particular skill set that I don't have.
And the motorcycle cops as well, who just do it so deftly. I mean, it's incredible.
Have you ever seen a rolling roadblock when the president or something comes in?
No.
That is it's incredible, and they're doing 90 miles an hour.
Really?
And they're literally
Even
just
right
taking
when
over, 4 or 5 lanes on the highway.
Huh.
It's something to watch.
And that's not easy to do with California traffic.
No. definitely not. My gosh, that sun is low in the sky, isn't it?
Did you guys have to serve chips
Sorry?
growing up?
Oh,
yeah.
Was that across the pond?
Bizarre story
yeah,
from
it
my
was.
childhood that nobody cares about. But when
We-
I was 7, I visited the Santa Monica Police Department and met a lovely policewoman named Mona Murray. And because my mum and dad knew how much I loved chips and American TV and stuff like that, we went, and I have a picture of myself on a Harley Davidson as a 7-year-old.
It's brilliant.
It's a
That's
weird
fantastic.
connection, and I still have the picture in an album back at home. But yes, and sorry, like you
No,
were
don't,
talking about
that's-
you were talking about the
all right.
TV series chips, right?
Yeah. No, not that cheesy movie they made. Talking about quality television.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time. That was good.
You know what? And Stu and I have been talking about this opportunity, and like, you know, like obviously you play a ginormous role in all of this, but you're a car guy at heart. So like, that's a car-related thing,
Yeah.
and it's 30 however many years ago, and that was still something special that involved not a car in that case, a motorcycle, but.
Yeah.
Like that connects all of us, and that's
Yeah.
why we appreciate you sitting down with us in a very sort of casual. Let's just have a conversation.
And this, the beauty of this job is it allows me to do that because we are a small brand. We are passionate and focused, and I try and speak just as candidly with the media as well, because this is kind of the antithesis of the big car company. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
We are somewhat different, but you still have the same challenges in terms of design, development, manufacturing, quality, all the things that you've got to keep a good eye on and make sure is right. And if you've been inside car companies and you see how the sausage is made and the way that decisions are made, sometimes it takes the shine off of things, but it just, for me, gives you just a whole new type of respect for whatever vehicle it is nowadays, meeting all the regulatory standards, getting everything together. I mean, 2,000 parts that are coming together at the end of the production line, and then suddenly it starts, which is still miraculous, even to those of us that have been in the car business for a long time.
Do you want to do a UE? I can cut back round here.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yep.
We still have the guys behind us.
Yeah, they're right behind me. Because it pops out at the last set of lights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't Pepperdine around here somewhere?
Yeah, it's
Just up here,
it's there.
Oh, is there?
So this
Yeah, cool.
this was the other place I was going to say, do this run because it's beautiful and it pops you up at Calabasas.
Calabasas, home of the Kardashians.
Yeah. And one of my friends that's in the fire department.
Oh, okay.
So if Mike, everyone's called Mike today, you're watching this, then there you go. You got a shout out. Yeah, the university's just up here.
Not a bad place to come to university.
Oh gosh, no, it's great. It's a fabulous law school, apparently. I can turn right on
And
there.
good baseball team.
Do they?
Yeah. Totally unrelated to this whole conversation. Do you like American football?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because the Panthers are right there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Carolina?
Yeah. I mean, they are close. I have to say, when I was a kid, we had every Sunday Channel 4.
It was on,
These
wasn't
are
it,
the
in the
days when there
morning?
were only 5 channels.
Yeah.
I remember.
Maybe even 4 channels at that time.
Sunday
but
morning, wasn't
I'm
it?
dating myself now, but there was always a Sunday game that was played, and it was good. It was really important to me. My grandfather used to come over, and we used to have sort of some food, and we used to watch a game, and then I used to follow it a lot. Mike, it's a function of time.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't have any time.
No, I'm sure.
Love it, and just don't have the time.
Speaking of which, do you want to drive?
I would love to, actually.
Is that
a good
all right?
idea. Yeah,
I don't
that's a
even-
good
Yeah.
idea.
I'll
You
just
could probably pull in here.
pull
and,
in there.
100 miles.
so
Yeah.
this-
Yeah,
Watch
let's
out for
gentlemen through. I'll pull in that one and those guys can.
One of my dearest friends is Welsh, and him and his dad bought the ticket package to go see games at Wembley,
Oh yeah.
and he must have texted me a million times. What does this mean? Why is he doing this? What does it mean when they do this? What does it mean when they do that? And that was me when he took me to a rugby match.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
All right, you're going to be okay with that? Is
that?
it still recording?
Yeah.
Nice.
35 minutes.
Yeah. Is this the sort of thing you're okay with?
Yeah,
as we start
absolutely.
this chat.
Yeah,
As we
as
said,
long
I
as you
think
are.
it really is the best way to do it, especially at the bit of chips. Of course, that's going to get in.
Oh.
Definitely. We want to see that photograph as well.
I'll have to dig it out. It's back in the UK. So no, actually, that might not be true. I think I might have
be
it
with you.
in North Carolina.
I really like the compass.
What's that?
I love the compass. I
yeah,
think just as a focal point, that's a really, really, really nice touch.
Yeah. So I wanted the compass to be on pretty much everything. It didn't make it onto the sort of the base Grenadier,
Yeah.
but I just noticed I've broken my phone case. Look at that.
I bet when it dropped before.
Probably, yeah. I've dropped it so much. This case has been absolutely brilliant, so I'm going to buy another one.
I'm dealing with one with a shattered screen that does the most crazy typos you can possibly imagine.
Text messaging is a little bit suspect. All right, now let me ask you a question. There's a orange triangle exclamation point.
Yeah, washer fluid. It's because we're low on washer fluid.
And there's been no bings and bongs.
I don't know how to work this.
So, button, reverse.
Okay.
Same thing for drive.
Why is it? Is there something there still? I don't see anything.
No, it's the front.
It may be a. Was it the front or it may have been the front?
It was the front one. There's a bush. There's nobody coming.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, the gear stiff.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
gonna take a while.
hang on. We got somebody.
Coming in.
Intrepid adventurer coming by in a Honda. There we go. You're clear.
Oh, does Tony need you?
I can't wind down this window because.
Oh,
stop.
I'm just going to use the restroom real quick.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, we're just going to head back to the parking lot where we stayed.
Okay.
So we'll see you back there.
All right, see you
Okay.
I forgot that was there. Sorry, Stu.
It's all right. It's all right.
You got
Why?
some good camera action now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna cut through here. So
Yeah. As you. This,
how do I get to
So again, thumb on the button.
thumb on the button?
Pull down.
Pull down.
Watch out if these folks see you.
yeah. The pedestrian has a right of way.
Actually, am I gonna be able?
Just remember, you have to unwind the
Yeah.
steering.
You may. I don't know. See if you can wind it around. You may not get it because obviously it's a smaller turning circle.
So now
Nice.
button
And
up.
that's
Yep, you're in reverse,
and that's a very long BMW.
and they probably like it a lot.
So for those of you
One of our friends has one.
kind
And
of watching, if
fabulous
you're short,
family
you can
car.
drive this really well. No, you can. The seat goes up. You can tilt it up.
is it? It's height adjustable, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Well, that's because you have long legs.
Well.
You don't
Okay.
live like
Okay. And then left at these satellites down here.
Left.
At the very end, you see where the highway is,
Yeah. Okay.
and then I'll tell you where the lot is, because you won't be able to pick it out.
You're good from this side.
Here comes a Rivian.
This is downtown Malibu, isn't it?
Yeah, this is right at the edge of Malibu. Downtown's about another 3 miles, just
okay.
over the crest of that hill.
Got it.
And it's, yeah, that's where Jeffries is, as we were mentioning
on the
before.
left, correct?
Yes,
Left here.
left here. So we've just gone through the first bit, and I think it's 27 miles long as a town.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's just
And
long
it's
and- long and
like,
thin.
yeah, it's basically one street, and then the main canyons that come off it, and then the other ones are just, smaller roads that go through to residential areas.
Yeah. Now, so I drove PTO too. So the big red buttons. Don't touch this. Don't do that.
Yeah. You would have definitely had some lights, bings, bangs, bongs,
Oh, all
because I mean,
kinds of stuff.
they were really early production.
We had the pleasure of interviewing and speaking with a foreign member who was part of the driving instructors.
Oh yeah.
And so the day of my New York morning, someone hit a tree.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I asked him about that, and he said, well, which time? So I guess,
It may have been. Sometimes they don't tell me stuff.
well, yeah, they probably,
That-
don't let the boss know.
that's probably for the best.
It'll polish out.
Yeah, it'll buff out, right? So, I enjoyed that. He was a really cool guy. This drive's just like the Fit. Spot on. Yeah, I currently drive a Fit.
Oh really? A Honda Fit?
Well, yeah. But I like to qualify with I sold my truck
Right.
while used car prices were insane.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a GMC 1500 AT4. It was great. Nice little 2-inch lift, straight exhaust, really nice truck. And now I have a purple go-kart.
Speaking of lifts, is this the same ride height as the other spec vehicles?
Yes,
Yeah.
all the same.
It was erroneously reported
By another outlet.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
I missed that.
It could have been taken out of context on his part there.
Yeah, definitely came across as.
I have to ask him.
Yeah, I'll have to ask. But there was so much speculation at the beginning. And I'm very upfront on the forum. I don't know anything more than anybody else. I speculate a lot.
Yep.
And I said it to Stu, and there's probably 50 posts. My mind is still blown that the Quartermaster is going to come to America. I would have bet a year's salary because of the chicken tax.
Yeah. But if you look at the absolute size of the marketplace, and again, in the same way as the station wagon, but maybe even more so, again, specialist tool, it's uber capable. Yeah, I suppose it's comparable to the Gladiator from a size and dimensions perspective. A little bit longer, a little bit wider. But it's we think from an off-road capability perspective, it's that step up. Of course, the Jeep guys are gonna come down on me now. No offense, Jeep guys, honestly. But again, and listen, I mean the scale and the volume. Hey, that's pretty cool over there. It's an import. It's G-Wagon, but it's the roof painted white.
Yeah,
That's
it's got a white
interesting.
roof.
Huh.
See, it's the white contrast roof.
There we go.
There's a market for
Well,
it.
it's funny because the audience doesn't know Stu's spec, but I saw another brand's vehicle in a very pedestrian. It's not going to go off-road vehicle, but painted the light blue with the white top.
Yeah, the blue with white top. And like, hey, in a lot of different markets, I used to work very closely with Middle East, with South Africa, but also arguably here, hot weather markets. I mean, it serves a very functional purpose. I mean, in terms of reducing solar load from the outside, really functional purpose. It is a pain in the behind from a manufacturing perspective, because you've got to spray the vehicle effectively twice, and so
And mask it.
mask it, and so it's lengthy, and it's honestly it's problematic, but it's very functional, and in many cases it just looks really cool as well. The aesthetic is really pleasing, cosmetically it looks good.
Yeah, I had a drop top on my Series 2. It was white, or limestone. Was that what Land Rover called it back then?
I don't remember.
Limestone. But it kept it way cooler.
Yeah.
Just the whole,
Yeah, and obviously before the days of panoramic roofs or anything like that, and that's it's great. It's one thing that I miss driving a TrialMaster is the safari roofs, and just from a light perspective, light and spaciousness, and but it's personal preference. Other folks don't want to have the sun shining down, and I completely get it. And if you live in Arizona, or if you live in Texas, or you live in a place where you have a problem with solar load and transfer, and maybe it's not good to have the safari roofs. Personally, I love them.
well, it's a very unique thing. Nobody else has it. Everyone has sunroofs.
Yeah.
We are about another 3/4 of a mile on the left.
Okay, so I can go straight.
I think.
Is there a central divider? Can we do a left from here? I think there is up by the.
Yeah, you can do it.
Rosenthal.
You've got the third lane one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gas prices are momentous here.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I remember in the UK when it went crazy, and I say to the Americans, when it gets to $9 a gallon, we'll have a conversation.
Right. That might be within your lifetime, Stu.
I'm sure it will be.
It's almost certain.
In the Grenadiers' lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I went to Europe, it blew my mind. It really did.
And things have, obviously the gap has closed since then. But we've certainly found with the fleet of vehicles that we have around headquarters and that we've been using just as test vehicles, you get it past 1,000, 1,200 miles and the characteristics change. It gets more economical. the range calculation really seems to calibrate and balance out, whereas in the first 1,000 miles, it's very, very conservative.
Well, better safe than sorry. That's
Well, better than the other way around. You're
yes.
right. Yeah.
On a related note, and this may need to be off the record.
It's always a Tesla.
The EP certification went through.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be releasing official EPA certified mileage fuel economy? Or?
Yes. But it's we've been going backwards and forwards with the engineering and homologation team on this one in terms of the rating, because the rating, for me anyway, the rating seemed overly conservative versus what we see in terms of litres per 100 kilometres elsewhere, Europe in particular.
Okay.
But obviously, rules are rules. We've got to state the EPA cert rating, and that's what's going to be on the Monroney label.
Okay.
And so that'll be out. I think it's the first time we publish that and confirm it for sure. I think it's actually with the website update that goes out at the end of this week.
Okay.
All right.
That one I'm not 100%
Because,
sure on.
the ones that were in the brochure, I mean, it was just a number that was going to be a low ball.
Yeah, exactly. There was sort of things, and it's it's not going to be dissimilar to that. What we're seeing in usage over, I'd say, a few thousand miles, not several, but because we haven't had the vehicles for that long, is we're seeing about 19. I've seen about 21, 22, 23 on longer trips. And that trip that I did, the longest trip was about 7.5 hours at a clip. And that obviously I saw the highest mileage. I was getting calculated ranges of about 23.5, 23.8.
Oh,
That's great.
that would be mind blowing.
But honestly, I caveat that was within the first 1,000 miles as well. So that calibration process was still going on.
Right.
And so, honestly, I think folks are going to have to use it, and there'll be a lot of discussion on the forum and observation about what kind of range and real world fuel economy you guys are getting. In the same way as, the Tesla forums were completely alight with stuff, 10, 12 years ago. What is your real world range? What are you getting?
Yeah. It's the same with Rivian right now.
I bet, yeah.
And we've some friends that have those, and they're like rocket ships. They go so quick.
Oh, they're right.
But yeah, it's that range depreciation when you use the loud pedal or the low pedal.
The quiet pedal?
The quiet pedal.
Just go with the skinny pedal. When you use the skinny one.
Yeah. And temperature has such a massive influence as well.
Which,
Yeah, I have too much battery anxiety with my laptop and my phone. I'm just not ready to drive a car that I have to do that with all the time.
Right.
I just, I know I can pull into any gas station. 7 minutes later, I have another 350 miles to go.
Right.
Hey, Stu, when you were driving, the footwell's really roomy.
it is.
There's no.
How's the passenger
How's the
footwell?
passenger footwell?
That is good. I mean, obviously you've got that.
We're busted.
Yeah, I know, and I noticed that I am offset a little bit,
Just on the left.
but generally I'm okay.
There you go. Not yet.
No,
By the big rocking chair.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we thought we'd ask how it was.
Those threads were just hysterical.
There was a lot of very upset
Like,
people.
very upset people.
I know where that came from as well. I'm not going to say his name.
I think if you're in the right-hand drive market in particular, that's something you're gonna notice more. And my home market, of course, the right-hand drive. So I do have a lot of sympathy, but I think if, again, coming back to how the sausage is made, when you actually see the complexity of packaging and manufacturing and making sure that you're looking at heat dissipation and the physics that are involved in this is I have a lot of admiration for our engineering team, that's for sure.
All right, it's not 4 guys in a shed.
That's right.
It's one of the best engineering firms on the planet.
All right. There's some slammed infinities here.
Oh, can you imagine driving that thing? It'd be horrendous.
I don't know, do you think he raises up at all?
Oh, probably not. He spent all his money on the rims.
And
So now,
just push the button
just
apart.
the big. I don't
Yep.
need the side button.
Correct.
All right. Thank
Gentlemen,
you
thank
very
you very
much.
much.
Oh, I'll just do the key.
That was exceptional. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, it's a pleasure.
It's exciting. It's exciting. We just
Good.
well, you did.
I'm not
You
going to
did.
cancel my order.
No, but you were the first the first civilian.
One
The first
of
civilian to drive it on the road.
One of them, yeah.
No, I
Yes.
appreciate the time. I appreciate all the things that you do, and just to make sure that that forum has grown to what it's grown into today. What a community, and we do. We talk about it frequently. We look at it not as much, and I think I joked to you once upon a time, Stu, between Bring a Trailer and the Ineos forum. I lose hours, or if I had hours a day to give, I would certainly lose hours a day. But it's really great. So we're grateful to both of you. Thank you.
Yeah, two really good websites though. Bring a Trailer's fun.
It is fun.
I like it.
It's fun.
It's very fun.
Prices have gone nuts.
Oh, I know. That's how I sold my Land Cruiser that way.
I
That's
don't,
all right.
I don't blame you.